Let's face it, the Chinese have been called misinformation feeds who spread conspiracy theories and outright lies on their presence and desperate need to stay in the country's exclusive economic zone. Case in point, the latest Scarborough Shoal aerial monitoring in which the Chinese claim to have been driven off away a BFAR vessel still anchored in the shoal and distributing aid to Filipino fisherfolk. Our Patrick De Jesus and news team was on board that BFAR aerial monitoring to tell us a whole lot more the Chinese have been lying about in this report. Live. Good evening, Patrick.
Yes, Charms, good evening. Starting this month, the National Security Council instructed both the PCG and BFAR to conduct alternate patrols in Bajo de Masinloc, part of the West Philippine Sea, wherein currently a BFAR ship is there. PTV News was one of the media outlets on board the Cessna caravan plane of BFAR that conducted aerial monitoring over Bajo de Masinloc since yesterday. Until today, the BFAR vessel BRP Datu Damblot is still anchored near the shoal and distributing fuel and food assistance to Filipino fisherfolk. This is contrary to the statement released by the China Coast Guard that they drove away the said Philippine vessel. From the aerial monitoring, the People's Liberation Army Navy warship of China was seen and it issued a radio challenge while we approached Scarborough Shoal. But the BFAR strongly responded, citing the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea.
Bravo RP-1077, a Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources aircraft of the Philippine government conducting a local maritime patrol within the exclusive economic zone of the Republic of the Philippines. Based on the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, we are free to fly and operate as the international law allows. China, as a signing member of the UNCLOS on 10 December 1982, we are requested to abide the said convention. You are way beyond the 200 nautical EEZ of your country. Please give your charge.
There is also a floating barrier installed by China Coast Guard at the southeast entrance of the shoal, guarded by its rigid hull inflatable boats. Inside the lagoon, 2 China Coast Guard vessels have dropped anchor. Other CCG ships can be seen nearby, as well as Chinese maritime militia vessels. Since yesterday, the BFAR Cessna caravan plane flew from Pampanga and conducted aerial patrols over Scarborough Shoal at least thrice. In total, a PLA Navy ship, 4 China Coast Guard ships, and 4 militia vessels were sighted. The government will be unfazed despite harassments and now false statements to undermine the country's efforts in asserting our rights inside our territory.
They have been doing this, this narrative, no? Nag-i-issue sila ng ganitong statement, just like last time, no? When the Philippine Coast Guard vessel was also doing our maritime patrol in Bajo de Masinloc, they also issued a statement na sinasabi nilang they drove away the Philippine Coast Guard vessel, but in reality, our Coast Guard vessel was still there. So this time around, for this rotational deployment, na ang Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources naman ang nagpapatrolya dito sa Bajo de Masinloc. Inunahan na naman ng China Coast Guard saying na pinaalis na naman nila ang BFAR vessel. I think they just want to support their own narrative, no? That they are effective in driving away the Philippine government vessels. But in reality, our BFAR and Philippine Coast Guard vessels are committed in complying with the guidance of the President for us to maintain our presence in Bajo de Masinloc.
Charms, based on latest monitoring by the PCG and BFAR, about 20 Filipino fisher boats have received the aid from the government, wherein each mother boat consists of up to 10 small boats. Charms?
Patrick, I just have one question. It is clear that the Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels have been evidently making their presence more felt. And as the spokesperson of the Philippine Coast Guard said, they are trying to tell the world and tell us that they are very effective at driving away our presence in our exclusive economic zone. What now are the latest moves, or I would say strategies, that the Coast Guard will now be employing to make sure that instances like this will not be happening again? And as a follow-up question, has there been any coordination with the Department of Foreign Affairs?
Yes, Charms, like what I have said earlier, starting this month, the National Security Council instructed both the PCG and BFAR to conduct alternate patrols in Bajo de Masinloc. This is to ensure that there is a Filipino vessel in the area so that they can protect the welfare of the Filipino fisher folk, given the fact that there are presence of Chinese ships near the Scarborough Shoal. And despite these harassments, despite these false narratives being given by China, the Philippine Coast Guard and BFAR or the government as a whole will be unfazed to assert our rights inside our territory. So, Charms, the alternate patrols between the BFAR and PCG will be a thing for now, so that there is assurance for Filipino fisher folks that protection will be given from them or for them by the government. Charms.
Many thanks, Patrick De Jesus, reporting live.